We are backstage with Scott Helman at the Bronson Center in Ottawa. You're currently on your Back Together tour. You just played the first night in Toronto. How is it being back on the road?
It's crazy. Last night I didn't even know really what to expect because I haven't toured in a while.
Yeah.
It was just blew my mind.
Wow, it was the hometown show too, right? So lots of familiar faces in the crowd.
Yeah, that was so weird too because I also tattoo now, so it was 20% of the crowd. I'm like, I feel like I've met you before. I'm like, oh no, I tattooed you.
Yeah.
But also just seeing people. There was a lot of new people, but I feel like I recognized a lot of faces. It was really nice. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was sweet.
This is your first tour since the pandemic, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel the touring, the music landscape has changed since then?
I think it's kind of better. Weirdly, I feel like people are really stoked to be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like also, there's been a change culturally I've noticed, or I guess a development would be a better word, but I feel like people are really open now.
Oh yeah.
There was so many different kinds of people at my show yesterday. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. There was young kids and older people, but also just everybody seemed to just be enjoying themselves, and they I don't know. Sometimes Toronto can be a little too cool for school, and it didn't. And I was am I in a small town? People were going crazy. It was so fun. Yeah. So I feel maybe that, but I've only done one, so I'll let you know when I'm done.
We'll see. That's so sweet. So do you notice a difference in small town, big town crowds? Yeah,
definitely. Small town crowds are crazy. I remember this one. I can't remember the town, but we booked it because it was it made sense to just play a show that night. We had this long stretch of driving to do, and we're yeah, we'll just play a show. This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And we rolled into this tiny town, and it was literally just the bar. And
wow.
People were I don't think a lot of people knew who I was because it was a ski town, but people were going crazy. It was their Saturday night.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of it has to do with the bands just never come. So the fact that you're there, they're just ready to party.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I just listened to Collarbone, your new EP.
Oh, thank you.
It's so good. Love it.
So
it's
much.
been on repeat all week. Your new EP, it's very emotional and raw and brutally honest, but also fun at times. What was your writing process like for this?
It kind of was over the span of quite a while because I moved, and then a bunch of people that I was working with at my label got let go or moved companies all of a sudden, and then I didn't have a team, and I was whoa, what am I doing? And so then I was I don't really want to put out a bunch of music when I don't know what's going on with my team. I need to have a team around me. So that took a while to sort.
Yeah.
And by the time that was done, I was damn, it's been a couple of years, So I was just okay, what are my favorite songs that I have? And I just started releasing songs, and some of them were written, Back Together was written during the process of releasing music, whereas and Drive was a newer one. But then Every Time was a song I'd written 3 or 4 years ago that I just loved. So I was kind of just starting to put out singles because I was I don't want to take the pressure off of putting out a whole album or something like that. And then which has been amazing. So yeah, it was kind of just a flow thing, but I feel now I'm ready to put out a record.
Yeah.
And that's what I like too is they were singles, but it felt very cohesive because it was kind of a new direction. It wasn't as quirky and upbeat. They were pretty serious songs.
Yeah.
And now that's I feel I've closed my chapter on that. I'm I love those songs, they're great. Now I feel I kind of want to make a record again.
So what do you think this EP, how does it show your growth as an artist, this chapter of your career?
I don't know, I kind of don't care about growth anymore. In the sense of maybe that's not true. I do, I always want to get better. But it's I used to think growth was up and down.
Yeah.
And now I feel it's more about expanding, 3D expanding. And because like as long as the core of you stays the same, like you can try so many things, and I feel like in that sense, it just for me felt like growth because I was like, I just want to see like what happens if I like make this song over like a pop punk drum kit and like you know like an electric guitar part like this. And I was like, oh, it's actually really cool, you know. And then and obviously that sounds like every time I wrote a song it was great, but there were so many songs where I was like, something about this isn't good for me, and I think it's because like I'm getting lost in the like experimenting and I'm forgetting like who I am and what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to say. So it's like finding that balance of like, okay, this sounds cool and it's new, but also like it's still me. So that was tough, but yeah, I feel like probably that.
That's awesome. I love the change in direction. I mean, it's still very much you.
Yeah.
Very much like the Scott Helman stamp on it, but I love like the pop punk vibes.
Yeah,
like you said.
thank you. I did like a couple of them with Callum too, so a lot of it was like we lived together. So
awesome.
You know, like we just stumbled in the studio one day and I'm like, hey man, I wrote this yesterday, you want to help me finish it? And it's like really sick. So that's also really nice. It's less like I like pressure and I like going to sessions and being like, okay, here we go. But it's also nice to just be like, it's a Tuesday, you know, let's just make music.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And like you guys live together, your friends, I'm sure it comes very naturally, like that creative space.
It's easy, yeah, it's easy. Almost too easy.
Is it ever like vulnerable or scary, you know, writing about the things that are so personal to you? Or even performing them in front of a crowd?
You know, I feel like writing about, you know, my friend who passed away that was scary because it was such a complicated thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
And it was also super complicated because he was a really complicated person. And like our relationship was really complicated. And I was like, I don't know how to mourn this person. And I don't really know how to like make it make sense for people. But I feel like part of the lessons I've learned in making music is like, the answer usually to that question is like you as the artist need to get out of the way and let just like what's like the best song, like use the way you feel to write the best song. And usually that'll help you heal way more. So in that sense, like that's really scary because you have to really like kill off your ego a bit and be like, you know, because I wanted to tell the whole story, you know, but it wasn't really about that. This song for me was more about like my friends that were still alive and like getting back together with them and like mourning this person. But so yeah, in that sense, it's just hard to like, does it make sense? I'm trying to make the thought make sense, but it's like, that's scary. Like realizing that like you kind of don't matter and it's like more about like the music and trying to connect with people.
But it's also like, I don't know, like a double-sided sword where the music is not about you, but also it's your perspective,
so deeply about
it's your art, and it comes from you.
But I find the thing, whenever I write a song that's like adjacent to me, or it's not super specific, but it's like I said, like you're using the thing you're experiencing to write the song. What ends up happening is like later on, I go like, wow, that song is like so much more valuable to me than if it was like really specific, because if it's so specific, it's like for you. But like a good example is I have this song called Ripple Effect, and like that song was kind of about my parents' divorce, but it was also about like a lot of the experiences of the other people in the room. And you know, when I think about that song, it's like it became so true for me after I wrote it. Like when the time I wrote it, I was actually super resentful and like I didn't want to play in the waves of like I wanted to like I was mad. Like I was upset and hurt. And I think like a year later, I was like singing that song on stage and I was like, oh, I get it now. Which is wild.
So interesting.
That's the crazy thing.
It's like you predicted it for yourself. That's so
but
cool.
Also that's because like there were other people in the room that helped me make that. And also I wasn't like trying to write a song about my life. I was like trying to, I don't know, figure something new out. Does that make sense? I don't know how to explain it.
That's so interesting. It's like self-fulfilling prophecy, sort of.
Yeah, it's really weird when that happens. I don't like it. I'm like, am I a wizard? Like, no, I suck. the universe.
You
is
manifested
like,
it.
Yeah.
You manifested it in your head. This is your first EP since moving to LA, and what has inspired you there? How has the transition been?
It's been crazy, like so much. And just moving in general is crazy.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you move,
sure.
like moving is
especially
so
like
nice.
To a different country.
To a new country. Yeah, really wild. Yes.
Sure.
Visas and yeah. It's been really interesting. I feel like before I moved, I was like really like hyper focused on like the future and like progress and getting to a new place and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got to LA, I was like, okay, like I'm here. I got engaged. I like, thank you. And like, but like that and just living in this new place. And I was like, oh, okay, like the future is here. Like I'm in like doing the things that I want to do. But then like, once I got to that place, I was like, oh, but like the past though. And like started like really missing home and missing friends. And like, now I feel like this tour is really about me and being like, okay, cool. Like, I feel like there's this narrative a lot where people are like, if you focus on the future, you focus on the past, like you'll never be present, which I really resonate with. But I also feel like it also, when it's oversimplification, because you can't disregard the future and the past. Like you have to learn from your past and you have to like be looking forward.
Exactly.
But it's like, if you can't incorporate the past and future into your present, then you're so fucked. So I feel like for me, that's like really what I'm trying to do. It's just like, I wanted to come back home and just play some shows. But like being me, like the new person that I am, but like, does that make sense?
For sure.
So that's kind of my long answer to your question.
No, you put out so much amazing new music the last few years. And also I took a look at your set list, you're revisiting like your older ones as well. When you play like your older hits, do you still feel like connected to them emotionally?
Like more connected. I feel like it's like part of it is, I don't know, when I was younger, it was like, I was so like worried about like what people thought and where I was going and like, what is this song gonna do? Like all those questions. And that stuff still matters, but I feel like now that LA is crazy because you see the whole breadth of the music industry. Like you see the bottom and the top and it's all in front of you. And just to see it all like displayed out in front of you, you're like, oh, like, it's so silly. Like I just feel like I have such a bird's eye view now, and now that I feel that way, when I play those old songs, I'm like, this is so like this is me, you know. Like I know a lot of my music isn't like super conventional, even though it's like played on the radio and it's like there's like a pop music aspect to it, but like I've always just kind of done my thing. But I was scared, you know. Like I was like, when I put a lot of those songs, I was like 19, 20, but now I'm just like, it's just awesome. It just feels so good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Is LA as cutthroat as everyone says?
Yes, but it's the weird thing about LA is like people are sneaky. Like if you go to New York, people are like it's clear what they are up to. Yeah. Whereas I feel like LA has a little bit of like it's like, I'll like give you a record deal, but like you gotta do like yoga with me and like talk about politics. And I'm just like, I just find that part of it a little stressful. Because like I like to get to the point. Like you know what I mean? Like if there's a transaction happening, I want it to be made so that we can then just hang. Instead of it being like, I don't like when there's a false pretense. And you're like hanging out with someone and you're like, are we friends or do you just like wanna like you know what I mean? Is there like a thing? Like, I don't know.
Snaky people.
Yeah. There's a bit of that going on. So but I have like my friends in LA are like the best. So you know, anywhere is really about just finding good people and like sticking to those people.
For sure. And I'm glad you're doing this tour in Canada. A lot of Canadian artists, you know, make it big, move to the States, and then when they tour, they only come to Toronto or something like that.
Way. I like the idea of that, because I'm Canadian, I know that. But also, like, I feel like that's so like antithetical to who I get into it. That's like not my goal at all. My only goal with moving to America or being bigger is so that I can just like bring that home.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. Somebody is banging a hammer.
Someone is,
I'm gonna just go ahead and close the door. 1 second, close the door. Cut.
Okay.
I'm back.
Back to the interview. We were talking about LA, snaky people, Canada. Yeah, have you found like a huge difference in like the music industry here? I know in Canada we have like CanCon, lots of public funding and like public interest in fostering Canadian artists. But I feel like in America, it's more like everyone for themselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I do definitely feel like I've noticed the difference in that. It's something I've thought about a lot and like I would never bag on CanCon because like I've benefited so much from CanCon, and I think CanCon's so cool because like it helps artists like live. It's just a different outlook on art. Like I think in America, it's like you want to be an artist, like go for it, like give it a shot, but like no one's gonna help you. There's a lack of like regard for like work, not work doing work, but for like workers, like for people being like giving their labor away in America is not seen as something that like it's not valued in the same way that it's valued, I think, in Canada. For better or for worse, like I don't really know, that's a whole other interview. So but in that sense I feel like how that reflects on like the art culture in America is like people are, it's tough, like it's like it's really crazy.
Yeah.
Like people are broke as hell. Like and also trying to make art.
Yeah.
And not that people aren't broke in Canada, but you know, it's just like
there's more of a safety net.
There's funding. So it's like you can get a grant. So it's like you have to work a job, another job, which most artists do, and you know, you're like trying to make a record and like that's super tough. But in Canada, like, you know, you can get a couple $1,000s, which is so sick. But in America, it's like you gotta like find that money somehow. So it's just a different culture. Like I don't know if I like it more or less because I love music from America just as much as from Canada. I probably like Canadian art more because I love Canada.
Me too.
And like I think Canadian art is deeply special.
Yeah.
Especially like pop music. It's like from here it's so incredible. But you know, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one because it's like really, it actually goes to the heart of like politics and music, but yeah.
I know you mentioned, and I saw on your Instagram too, you tattoo now.
I do, yeah.
How's that going? How's this new art medium for you?
It's really wild. It's it's so beautiful. Like the being able to like meet people that are my fans that like, and it's not like this crazy scenario, and it's just me and one person, and I'm like, what's up? Like, yeah, I can like talk to them. That's really nice. And then there's like a moment usually when like someone gets up and I'm like, damn, like I love that. And like that is so, to be able to give someone that is so sick. I've always loved tattoos. I did like visual arts a lot in high school.
Yeah.
So I've always loved like art, and my mom's a painter. So yeah, I don't know. I just think tattoos are so beautiful, and like they just help me like reclaim my body a bit. Like I think I grew up with like body dysmorphia a bit because I was like really little, and like I don't know. I just always was like I don't look how I want to look, which I'm sure everybody feels that way. But for me, like whenever I tattoo a part of my body, I'm like I love that part of my body now because it's mine.
Yeah.
And like reclaiming your body as like your own body, because the only reason why you would not like your body is because you're comparing it to somebody else's body, which is a like rationally crazy thing to do because you don't have your body, like this is your body. And I think to like hate something on yourself is to like give it away, you know, in a sense. So when I like get a tattoo, I'm like, okay, that's mine now. Like, so you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So to watch other people go through that process is so sick.
I'm sure you've like really connected with your fans on another level through tattooing them, literally changing them forever.
It's so wild. It's wild when it's like a lyric, which is really weird. Yeah, I'm like, this is so weird.
Which
crazy.
lyrics have you tattooed?
A lot of people get what's the ripple effect? We can make this a beautiful life. A lot of people get that, which is like so.
Do they get it in your handwriting?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
it's
sweet.
Just, I'm like, okay, you sure?
Yeah.
My handwriting sucks. I've done a couple like machine ones.
I love that one.
Someone got one for Drive, which was wild because I just put it out.
Yeah.
And they were like, I need it. And I did like this car for them, which was wild.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But then some people get like otters for like their grandma. And I'm like, tell me about your grandma.
Yeah.
And it's sick. Like, I love that.
I love asking people about their tattoos.
Yeah.
It's always, even if it's just like, I thought it looked cool. That's interesting.
100%.
And I know there's only one show this tour so far, but have you had any favorite fan interactions so far?
This girl named Lauren, a fan made like all these hearts yesterday they like cut out all these little blue hearts and handed them out to the crowd. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then during Back Together, like the whole audience like had these hearts, and I was like, I'm actually gonna die from cuteness.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That was really special. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm sure you're gonna have way more of those the rest of this tour. Thank you so much for this interview.
Oh, thank you. I had so much fun.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Check out our coverage of his show on Montreal Rocks. Thank you for watching.
See you soon, Montreal.
Woo!
Or see you later, because I probably have already seen them
Yeah.
when this is out.
Yeah.
See you later.